Good evening, Maryland. My name is Lonnie Walker. I am the founder and CEO of Joy Baltimore. I am here with some colleagues of mine, and we are going to have a discussion tonight. The Maryland LGBTQIA community and the Ballroom community are here on behalf of Kamala Harris for president. Tonight, you're going to hear some amazing speakers talking about LGBTQIA rights, civil rights, marriage rights, Proposition 2025, and the fact that 1 in 5 Black people can't vote because of felony convictions, and also to honor our ancestors who fought and died for us to have the right to vote. At this time, we're going to have an opening prayer by Mr. Eric Anderson.
Can't hear him.
Eric, you're on mute.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? Okay. Father, in the name of Jesus, we would like to just say thank you. Just thank you for everything. Just thank you for allowing us this time to serve. Service is everything in the kingdom of God. And we just would say thank you. Thank you for the people who have put this together. May they be blessed, and the ones who attend. Now, Father, in the name of Jesus, we just pray that we don't go backwards. We work so hard to come forward. So we need you to just make it right. Just protect Kamala and Tim, and just protect and put your loving arms around them. Let no evildoers touch them, Father. As we are claiming the win this year. We're claiming the presidency. We claimed it already because you said if we ask, then you will receive. So we're asking right now in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you for that wonderful prayer. I just want to start off by saying, our Madam Vice President, who will soon be our Madam President, Kamala Harris, stands on the shoulders of many influential Black women who have paved the way for her to aspire to run for president. Here are a few notable figures. Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman elected to the United States Congress and the first Black candidate for a major party nomination for president of the United States. Barbara Jordan, the first Black woman to deliver a keynote address at the Democratic National Convention and a trailblazer in the fight for civil rights. Fannie Lou Hamer, a key figure in the civil rights movement and a powerful advocate for voting rights for African Americans. Then we have Mary McLuhan Bethune, a prominent educator and civil rights activist and advisor to multiple U.S. presidents who fought for racial and gender equality. Then we have the amazing Dorothy Height, a leader in the women's rights and civil rights movement who dedicated her life to advocating for gender and racial equality. These women, along with many other women, have made significant contributions to the advancement of civil rights and social justice in the United States, paving the way for leaders like Kamala Harris to break barriers as she has done and pursue high office as the President of the United States of America. At this time, we're going to have some words by an amazing young man who goes by the name of Chinedu. He knows I'm going to get his last name wrong, but he'll tell it to y'all. Chinedu is also the Senior DEI Program Manager for All of Us program at the National Institute of Health. Chinedu?
Hello, Lonnie, and good evening, everybody. Thank you all for having me this evening. I'm glad to be on this auspicious call that is of great importance when it comes to our civic duties, not only as Americans, but as Black people who stand on the shoulders of greatness. As Lonnie mentioned, I am Chinedu Wokafor, and being on this call today means a lot to me. When Lonnie told me that this was happening and that he needed me on, I am on vacation. I am currently out of the country in Costa Rica, but I told him that there is no way that I could miss this moment because we have this opportunity in this time to all kind of stand up to this moment, to let history be made. And I think when we say history being made, it's not just the idea of somebody doing something great. We're talking about a very qualified Black woman. Okay. Kamala Harris just has an amazing history and an amazing story. I think when it comes to the rights of, sexual gender minorities, the rights of the underrepresented, you think about who will represent me in the White House. When you look at her story to get to where she is today, and I think this is really, really important, especially for our young people, to never to understand that delay does not mean denial. When Kamala Harris was running for president originally in 2020, she was polling less than 10% of the electorate. And she had to drop out due to those numbers and due to folks, kind of focusing more on Bernard Sanders of Vermont and Joseph Biden of Delaware. Now, due to her great nature and her strong, powerful Blackness, and we all know what that is, just that indomitable spirit to keep going, she was tapped as the best candidate for the VP pick. And now she ran with Joe Biden, became the vice president, first Black person, first Asian American, and also first woman vice president. As if that wasn't enough. Now look where she is currently in the position to be elevated. The reason why I wanted to go back to that story, because it's not enough just to say that she is a woman. It's understanding that she went through a process. And the process in the beginning didn't look like a win for her, but she kept steadfast. And I believe God has raised her up. And look at those polls now. Look at how she's doing in the latest PBS poll. I think it was about 48%.
We have 50-something now.
50-something percent. But imagine if she laid on her laurels of that less than 10% 4 years ago. And I say that to not only the youth of Baltimore, the young people of Baltimore, it's that your story is yet to be written. And it's important that you continue to strive for greatness and believe in yourself. When it comes to rights, her stint as a public defender, her stint as the state's attorney in California was impeccable. We are now hearing from Black men, some of the likes of D.L. Hughley, who have apologized for telling the wrong story that she was locking up a multitude of Black men, which was a falsehood told by her opponent, Tulsi Gabbard, during the 2020 election. Again, why am I saying all of this? We have a time in America, usually when we hear about history, it's about history that has come before us. This is an opportunity that we have to choose and elect somebody who will do the job, not just as an opponent to Donald Trump, but as somebody who has the gravitas to take our country to a further level, somebody who has the power to unite people together. When you look at her number two, her running mate, Tim Walz, that's somebody who leans a little bit more progressive. This is one of the first times that a Democratic presidential nominee, is picking somebody that has more or less a little bit of progressive views. That is her showing that she is, one, ready to unify the party, but two, unify this country. And it is up to us to continue going out, and whether that's volunteering, talking to your people. Andrew Gillum says it best, arrive with 5. If you're registered to vote, that's not enough. You got to make sure at least 5 people in your community is registered to vote, and make a difference for what we want to see in our nation. And remember, all politics is local. So even though this is somebody on the national level, this is also somebody whose values is in tandem with the values of the mayor of Baltimore City, in tandem with the values of Governor Wes Moore. That's the type of leadership that we want, so that across all local, state, and national politics, we have people who believe that our issues matter. So that is what I wanted to bring forth to the space this evening, to remind us that we have a duty. We've asked for this moment for a long time, and it has been historically proven that the Black woman has remained and will always remain not only the cornerstone of our community, but the cornerstone of society. And I think there is no better person to take this country to better heights and to inspire your daughters, your nieces, and everybody in between, that they too can live up to this American dream that we were promised, and more often than not are underrepresented in. So I just want to urge the great people of Maryland, my great people of my lovely city, Baltimore, that this is our opportunity to make history, be a part of history, but most importantly, have a candidate that aligns with our values, not only our cultural values, but the values of democracy. Our democracy has been eroding for years. The former president has proven that America hasn't changed too much from what she was those 200-300 years ago. But this is our chance to say that, no, America has changed, that there is a new sheriff in town, and that sheriff is VP, soon to be President-elect Kamala Harris. What role will you play in making that happen? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sinead. Thank you for answering the call while on vacation. When I say this young man has been amazing since I've seen him on the stage at Morgan State University as a freshman and followed him till I got him to be a part of the organization and to spread that joy with young people. And he's still doing it today, all the way from Dallas, Texas, well, where he lives at now. And he's in Costa Rica right now.
Yes, sir.
And I so appreciate you being a part of this call. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. God bless.
Thank you. With that being said, we have another dynamic person that's going to join us and is going to speak. She goes by the name of Saran Fassett. She is the founder and CEO of Aziza Peace. I'm going to let her tell you who Aziza Peace is and what they do. Saran, the floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Saran Fawcett, and I am the Executive Director and Chief Change Maker at Aziza Peace. And at Aziza Peace, we use fashion and fitness, art, music, entertainment, and education to address social determinants of health, social, emotional learning, life, and critical thinking skills in young people 13 to 25, especially Black girls and LGBT youth. I thank you, Lonnie, for inviting me on this platform to talk about Aziza Peace and the work that we do and how it relates to um, getting votes and getting young people to represent for Vice President Kamala Harris, soon to be president. One, because for Aziza Peace, it's the duality of her representing a, a Black female. And then there is the intersectionality of um, her, um, the, the, the fact that she is Asian. And then there's the woman, then she's educated. And there's so many layers to who she is that we are able to use Kamala as an example for real discussion for our young people. So we just ended our summer program on yesterday. And one of our questions was, how important is it to our young people that they see Kamala Harris running for president? And they have voices, they have thoughts about it. And even though they're excited about it, they almost feel like it may not be possible. It's important to us to be able to pour into young people to know that it is possible for her to win and that they have a significant role to play in it, right? I think that, Sinead said something about the past, right? In the educational space, what we've learned is that our children don't know their past. They don't know their history. So the importance of Kamala representing who they are now and
Did we lose Saran? We're gonna move on, but we'll let Saran get back in when she get back in, and we'll come back to Saran. When I say she does amazing work with our young people here in the city of Baltimore, and she has been doing this work for over 20 years. I want to move on to another amazing person within our city of Baltimore. His name is Larry Simmons. He's an educator. He's a board president. He's many things in this city, but he is amazing when it comes to youth and pulling it together. Larry Simmons, the floor is yours. He's also the director of community engagement for Nobody Asked Me campaign and research.
So good evening, everyone. Thanks, Lonnie, for having me. And hello to all like my friends and family that are on here. I haven't seen some of you guys in a really long time, so it's great to be here tonight. I am the director of community engagement for the Nobody Asked Me campaign and research team, which is a project that's funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, working in partnership with my colleague, Dr. Richard Lofton, out of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We've spent the last 5 years really uplifting the voices of young people in a way that a lot of research and a lot of work really doesn't. We have run this self-selected research project where young people have come to us to kind of share their stories and in the work of trying to create pathways to adult success and how we as adults and as a city can support them in that success. But then also, as Lonnie mentioned, I'm the chair of the board of directors for the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund, which uses city tax dollars to fund youth and community development organizations that are Black and Brown led here in our city. And we're proud to say that we are supporting the work that Aziza Peace is doing and Joy Baltimore. So I'm glad to be here tonight and looking forward to a great conversation.
Thank you very much, Larry. So next, we have an amazing person who has been doing the work, boots on the ground. He's also a pastor and an educator. So here to talk to us now will be Pastor Jeff Harris.
Hey, nice to see you all. I'm like Larry. I haven't seen some of you all in forever. I am Pastor Jeff Harris. I am the executive pastor for Truth and Love Fellowship and Ministries. I am also the founding pastor and visionary for International Covenant Fellowship of Leaders. And so it's a couple other accolades that go behind that, but I have been working with children for over 25 years. Majority of the time it's either in the academic setting or it has been in religious spaces. And so working with children has been a passion of mine because children just are often left to their own devices. And so when that happens, our children end up in precarious situations where they just kind of fall by the wayside. So being a part and having this conversation right now about Kamala Harris, it is important that that our children know that it is possible for you to do and be whatever it is that you desire to be, and you have representation. From a religious perspective, the work that I do is about inclusivity and helping pastors to create inclusive spaces for marginalized communities, predominantly for LGBT people. And so one of the big things that Kamala is doing, and I saw her do, was she was on RuPaul. She was actually in the dressing room with them one time. And it like hit me in my face because I stopped watching RuPaul years ago. But it hit me, but it also woke me up to the fact that she is not afraid to take a stance. Even Barack, even though he was Black and he was first Black president, he never stood in spaces or a space like that. He supported us, and I have my own opinion about that. However, she stood in a space where many people in political power positions, unless they identify with our community, they themselves have never stood in that space. So she showed herself to be daring. She showed herself to be courageous. And I'm willing to stand with those that are marginalized so that way they know that they have an ally in me as an individual. And so I'm looking forward to this conversation because it is something that is much needed. And as a community, we need to come together more. Nod your head, yes. Come together more to do not just our work, not just what you're doing, but what we're all doing, because all of it comes to us ahead, so that way we can accomplish and we can all stand and clap our hands for each other. because we're rising at the same time.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for that. I definitely want to bring Mother Saran back to the stage because we never want to cut you off, and we would love for you to finish what you started. You're on mute.
I don't know why when I got removed, when I got cut off, I do apologize for the technical difficulties. Again, I am the executive director at
Saran, we can't hear you. You're going in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we use at Aziza Peace, we use fashion and fitness, arts, music, entertainment, and education to address social determinants of health, to address social and emotional learning, life and critical thinking skills in young people ages 13 to 25, especially Black girls and LGBT youth. We do that in school spaces, after school, and as a summer program. I think that um, one of the most awesome things about this summer has been the conversations we've been able to have with young people about Kamala Harris running for office, for her being nominated, and being able to have conversations with young people about um, the importance this plays in our history and the important it play that the role that they play in making history. Something Sinead said when he was talking about how we're often taught and often discussing our past, and this is about making history. When we're dealing with the education of our young people, we're talking about miseducation, undereducation, right? So they're undereducated. And so often they don't know any of the people that you mentioned at the start of this conversation. And so I think that one of the major roles we're fortunate enough to play in the lives of young people in the city is that we teach what they're not learning in school. We do teach them history. We do teach them about their agency and their power to be the change that they want to see. So I'm particularly excited to be able to pour into young people in this season to talk about who Kamala Harris is, one, mainly because we serve Black girls, and so they are able to see themselves and to see possibilities. And then we speak to the importance of our representation. And so to be able to have those discussions with the young people that are in Aziza Peace, male, female, non-binary, um, gender expansive, because we deal with all of that. Um, and being able to teach them that they absolutely can make a change, encouraging them to vote, encouraging them to get their friends to register to vote. And if they are too young to vote, to get the information they need to share with family members and friends so that when they vote with information and with the intent to make the change that we all need and deserve. So I'm thankful that you invited me on this platform to discuss Kamala Harris and the possibilities that come along with her um, being in office, because our young people, we need people that believe in the importance of education, arts, culture, and that's who we are. And so people who will cut funding in education and cut funding in arts and culture, that's problematic for us. And so again, we're talking about the importance of Kamala Harris and how it ties to Westmore and our mayor. So I appreciate that you did this, Lonnie, and I look forward to working with everybody here in order to make it happen. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fassett. So this is just the beginning, everybody out there in YouTube land, everybody out here who's streaming, who's watching. This is just the beginning because this is the start of a group of us are getting to get together, and we're going to also mobilize young people. So this is our adults, our LGBTQIA, Ballrooms community, and allies talking right now. But now, we got more work to do. We want to get the young people involved. So we have a group of nonprofit leaders and providers who are working with youth in different spaces and places, and we're going to mobilize them to get them to vote, also registered and voting. So that's where we at. That's where we're going. That's what we're going to do. I want to bring on an amazing speaker, an amazing guest. She goes by the name of Deb Dunn. I met Ms. Dunn over 15 years ago when we hosted an LGBTQIA mental health Black men and women in depression, and was one of the panelists on that discussion. It was a packed room, and we let out some emotions that day that Black men and Black women don't get to let out. Because we are afraid. And so Deb Dunn, who's also a consultant of her own company, Deb Dunn 4 Consultant LLC. Ms. Dunn is all yours.
All right. Thanks for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to meet all of you. It's just so much that I need to share with you that you may not know, and that we really need to, I need to really empower you to help with. When we're speaking about youth, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm a family practice physician assistant at a FQHC. All of my patients are transgender adults, youth, or LGBTQ. And I'm co-author of programs for the treatment and management of transgender children. And I'm not sure if you know or not, but probably up to 23 states now have banned the treatment for transgender children. They are beginning to migrate up to Maryland, where we're a safe space for them and we provide respite. But we really do need all of your help. A lot of these families are coming up from Texas and Florida and all these other states without places to live, without jobs, just wanting to find help and medical necessity care for their children. So we really do need to pull together and try to find resources for them for housing and jobs. But the Westmore, thank you God, I'm on the LGBTQ commission under Westmore, is just the most amazing government we could ever have. And we are a safe space, and we have opened up areas where we can really help the group of people who are coming in. A couple of things too that I think you should be made aware of is that the 12 to 24-year-old HIV, 12 to 24-year-old people at the highest risk of HIV right now. The CDC came out with a report that shows that they have way surpassed any other age group. And unfortunately, it's because no one's really focusing on the sexual health of these people from 12 to 24. LGBTQ legislation have banned LGBTQ sex ed in schools. I actually heard legislators call it pornographic. This in family practice and medical curriculums, they're not even taught how to do sexual history taken on adolescents, and are therefore uncomfortable about talking about things like vaginal and rectal penetration sex. Parents are not educated about this. And we've got one of the things that I'm hoping that Kamala is able to do is there was a White House initiative and Obama was there, is make it mandated to teach these LGBTQ preventive care, health disparities, medicine, and every single medical curriculum for medical schools, PA schools, RN, dentistry, everyone, everywhere. But meanwhile, it's unfortunate that this age group has to be told that they're HIV positive. We were successful in passing a law that we are able to prescribe PrEP, which is the HIV med, to prevent HIV if you have unprotected sex for adolescents. But not enough people are doing it. Health departments, we need to get them all on board with opening access for these adolescents to be able to come in and get treatment. They can't drive. They can't, they're not coming to doctor's offices. They may not want to even take a pill every day, but there are programs out here that are designed to get these kids in. And it's just so much implicit bias in the medical community. It really hurts me so much to see or hear of medical professionals who just don't want to see LGBTQ people still, even in 2024. When I graduated, it was one of these things where, it didn't matter a person's culture, it didn't matter their sexual orientation or gender identity, it didn't matter the color of their skin. What you provided was compassionate, emotional, in love care for everybody. It didn't matter the color of their skin. And because of these implicit bias that are so strong in the medical curriculum, it's very strongly impacting the health income of LGBTQ people. And so we really need mental health people. We need medical and to open up and be willing to at least learn how to treat and open up the access of care for LGBTQ people. We're dying at a rate of 15 years earlier than everybody else because of lack of preventive care. I can go on all night. You can tell I'm really passionate about this, but there has to be some change in order for us to see better health outcomes for LGBTQ people. There are, the drug overdoses. There's still hate crimes. I painfully have lost at least 3 of my trans women in the last 3 to 6 months. And it's just devastating because I am in love with my patients. And when you are in love with your patients, you provide quality, you provide the same quality of care that you would your family, your parents, and your family. So it's so important that we, not just in Maryland, not just in, not all of the counties in Maryland, but nationally, we've got to help initiatives nationally to help increase the access of care and provide services. But mainly of all, we need people who are in states that are passing these laws to ban the treatment for transgender adults and children. They need to step up and really help to stop the ban of the treatment for these kids, especially. They're hitting us where it hurts, the children. But these are medical necessary treatments. They're life-saving treatments. And so everyone needs to reach out to their legislators in all their states and help fight these laws. And equal rights. We say trans right or equal rights. And we got to fight for the equal rights and human rights for all people. We just celebrated the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Movement, which I have to say, I was that kid, I'm telling my age. But if we hadn't been in those marches and we hadn't been in those protests, those laws would not have passed that have improved the quality of lives of all Black folks. And so we need to do the same thing for the civil rights of LGBTQ people. That's the same degree of fight that we need to do for this group of people that are marginalized.
Thank you very much. So, with that being said, it's time to fact check. It is time to fact check. Kamala Harris did not lock up thousands of Black men. During Harris's tenure as California's Attorney General from 2011 to 2017, over 1,900 people were admitted to state prisons for marijuana or harsh related charges, but cannabis-related cases in California are prosecuted by the district attorneys in individual counties, not attorney generals. Kamala Harris was the district attorney for San Francisco from 2004 to 2011, and during her tenure, she only sentenced 45 people total, not just Black people, to state prisons for marijuana-related charges, according to the Mercury News. Let's note, presidential candidates are not perfect, but at least know the facts before you start judging. With that being said, we're going to move this right along. I see a young man in this room who has done amazing work, not only in Baltimore, but in Atlanta also, in reference to the LGBTQIA community. And so I would not have this call without having Mr. Trey Moore on. He's also a program consultant for LGBTQIA programming. And so let's welcome Trey to the floor.
Thank you, Lonnie. I appreciate that so much. I really do. First, I want to greet everyone here. Lonnie, I want to thank you and everyone who worked together to put on such a great presentation like this. Listening to some of the issues that you all kind of discussed, there's just some of the direction that we need to go as a community, that we need our legislation, our policymakers to go in that direction. One of the things that I believe that Lonnie was just hinting towards is a lot of misinformation around, Kamala Harris. It's a lot of misinformation, and that misinformation is at this current time affecting, I guess, the way that we perceive this election and who we should vote for. I was on a conversation recently with individuals where we were kind of debating, like, what is some contingencies depending who goes in office, and what are some things that we have to do as an organization, like maybe some potential funding cuts. So as a strategic consultant, what I do is work with many different organizations here in Baltimore, have done consulting in Atlanta, Georgia, and many other cities out there, trying to, work, whether that's community building initiatives or policy and advocacy initiatives specifically, as well as do reconstruction, strategic planning consultations. So as we were talking about the upcoming election, we realized that a lot of individuals were saying that if Kamala didn't win, that they were afraid, like, I guess, like, for the sake of their organization or for the sake of the upcoming funding. So some of the key points, what I did was outline 7 initiatives that I believe is really, really important that, for individuals to, look into and for us to consider. For our next presidential election, we have to take 7 initiative, directions to ensure that this community is protected. As Deb Dunn said, working directly in the community on the ground, working with clients, we get to see the firsthand approach of how these policies affect clients, how these specific initiatives or bodies, as well as implicit bodies, really have effect on clients. One of the statistics I was just recently looking at is, I don't know if anyone followed the specific suicide statistics, but we have just seen a rise in the suicides within LGBTQ individuals, and specifically Black individuals who identify as a part of the LGBTQ community. So if someone said, what is the 5 initiatives that I would support, to ensure that, we feel we're protected? First, we'll start with LGBTQ comprehensive. Second would be healthcare access. Third would be like addressing LGBTQ youth issues. Another big one that I believe get left out, very so often is we're in the need for a criminal justice reform. There is a lot of issues specifically within the criminal justice field that affect members of the LGBT community, whether that's hate crime prevention or ending the discrimination practices that's within the criminal justice form, economic empowerment, and then also community safety and housing. So as sorry if I'm breaking, a strategic consultant, one of the things that I really empower everyone who's a part of this alliance and our family, and ensure that we're supporting these initiatives. I'm gonna pass to you, Lauren. I look like you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay, I do want to remind people out there that, we are live, and we would love for you to share this live with your communities, with your friends, with your families, because this is our time. This is our time, and it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us to make sure this happens. Right now, we're going to have Eric Anderson is going to come on, and he's going to talk to you guys about the different things that's happening in reference to the Ryan White funding, HIV and AIDS, and why it's very important for us to have Kamala Harris in office as the President of the United States of America. Eric Anderson.
Like Lonnie said, I'm the president of the HIV providers in Baltimore. I'm the eligibility specialist for University of Maryland Thrive Clinic. So many of you may have heard that the Ryan White funding has been cut in Maryland. It's been cut like 76%, $76 million, I'm sorry. So the cut really affects outreach. It affects those who go to linkage to care, the ones who go to the hospital and bring people into care. It affects case management. It affects nutrition. It affects mental health. It affects the housing. And so it's just so important that we understand how important it is to get the young people who are positive into treatment. We have prep, but prep is not really working. Very few of our kids, in the youth prep, prep is now one shot every 2 months. And in a year, it'll be 2 shots a year. There's a new medication out that will allow you to just walk in the clinic twice a year to get 2 shots, a shot. And so we need outreach. We need to say, HIV is still real. We're still getting people to come in the clinic who are AIDS defined already. And so if they're AIDS defined, then they're passing the virus on because they're not taking medicine. They have a high viral load. So Ryan White is just so important that it protects our community. I'm a pastor, assistant pastor for a zip code in Baltimore that's have high prevalence of HIV. And we need people to talk about it. We need outreach workers to go out and find the people and bring them in. We still need testing. HIV is still alive. And I believe, it's my opinion, if power changed to the Trump administration, Ryan White may be cut, period. Ryan White might be cut, period. You just don't know how much medicine that is given through Ryan White funding. Ryan White is a program of eligibility. You can make up to $75,300 a year as a single person and be eligible. It's a program for the working poor where if my job doesn't apply, have insurance programs through MedApp, I can get insurance and they will pay the premium. All of that would be cut. And I believe that HIV may become a disease that it was in the past because it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just our treatment that have gotten so much better. So that's my song and dance.
Thank you very much, Eric. I want to say thank you to Eric also because Eric has been that wedge when I've had clients who were not on medication and they couldn't get medication because they didn't have any health insurance. And I would send them to Eric's office and he had samples until they was able to get on their medication, so they was able to get their health insurance and get back on their medication. So it's very important that we put the right person in office to keep these things in place. Another fact check, Agenda 47. It is not for your black act. Trump's Agenda 47 poses serious risk to Black and minority communities. It plans to cut funding for schools, teaching critical race theory, CRT, and eliminate diversity programs, as he said out, Vice President of DEI. We know that's a lie. Reducing support for students of color. The agenda aims to implement more aggressive policing policies and measures, including the reintroduction of stop and frisk practices, which disproportionately targeted Black and minority individuals. It also proposes the death penalty for drug dealers and grants immunity to police officers. So that means, they got immunity. Who's getting killed? We are, or people that look like us. So Agenda 47 is directly from the Trump's administration. Know the facts.
Can I just jump? It would also cut a lot of the funding that goes into our HBCUs as well, that are not privately supported. So those, the majority of our schools are, receive public dollars and would lose those dollars, and also our local school systems would lose a lot of its funding as well too. So just wanted to throw that importance out there too.
So another thing that we're going to talk about. Go ahead, Jeff.
I wanted to chime in on what Larry said. I was the dean of students for a charter school here in the city for almost 10 years. And you would be amazed. No, you wouldn't. We were predominantly African-American, like 97%. So Ron and I worked together for a period of time. And it was amazing and heart-wrenching that many of our children only had food to eat when they came to school.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about cutting academic funding, we need to talk about how many children will go hungry. There are parents that have children that are selling their food stamps, and their children have to come to school in order to eat lunch. They get breakfast and they get lunch. That might be the only meal they get all day long.
And if they're in the after school program, they also get supper. So, but
oh yes, the after school program.
Families totally, especially with like Baltimore City, we have 105 schools. 100 of those schools are community schools that completely services the entire family, right? And with those type of and pray that we don't get them, right? But with those type of budget cuts, the strategy, the community school strategy would die, right? It would really, really suffer. I mean, we just see this in this upcoming school year. There's been a big cut to, and that's just on our local level, but there's been a big cut to after school programming coming from the state. So a lot of our programs here in the city will be in Thunderdome again, trying to figure out how they're going to take care of their babies when, there are organizations that have probably been doing it for a really long time that are really going to feel the burn of that. And so, yeah, but I don't want to take up some other time.
And so another fact check, we all know that the free lunch program was started for us by us. So let's have that. Let's talk about that. So we have to keep these things in place. I want to bring on, he's not last, or he's not at least, but he's an amazing son of Baltimore. He does amazing work in politics. I had the pleasure of sharing the stage with him because my niece's mother is also the first African-American mayor of Hagerstown, Takesha Ann Martinez, I'm sorry. And so I want to bring on and introduce to some Mark McLaurin. He's the state's desk director for Climate Power. Mark McLaurin.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone. There's some folks I haven't seen in a long, long time. Can y'all hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. First of all, I want to say how really excited I am at this level of involvement in mobilization and community. I've been doing this a long time, working in the Black gay community in Baltimore with Carlton Smith and Vincent Liggins and Kevin Clevens and Dana Owens, and we used to have chit chat and choose down at the Paradox, and that was like the first step towards really towards community building in the Black gay community in Baltimore. And so to now see it progress to where Lonnie is like putting together panels on the presidential election, it does my heart a whole lot of good to see the progress that is being made in this community and the level of mobilization in this community and the level of access to information that is being provided to this community that is expanding to levels that we only would have dreamed of 20 years ago. I feel like I'm 80 talking about it, but really, this is just, it warms my heart to even that there is a panel where we are talking to each other. And this is not just happening locally. Last week, Lonnie and I were on a call of almost over 3,000 Black, gay, and bisexual men for Kamala Harris. Like 20 years ago, if I could have gotten 25 people across the country on a call about anything, I would have been overjoyed. So to see 2,500 brothers stand strong with each other and not be about shade or anything, but really just be about coming together in service of a sister, especially. The level of mobilization is just incredible. And so I just stopped by to say that a couple of things. One is that I've been working in electoral politics for nearly 25 years now. I've run races all over the country, governor's races, Senate races, U.S. Congress races, big city mayors races. Not all my clients went to jail. We have been, so having been around the country, I can tell you, I've never seen this level of grassroots enthusiasm around a candidate, ever. Like not even in 2008 with Obama. And Obama was like a big lift. But I'm telling you, I'm traveling around this country. I'm in the Dominican Republic now, but I was in Savannah last week preparing for the vice president's launch in in Georgia. Unfortunately, it was canceled because of Hurricane Debbie, so I flew back home. But I've been around this country, and the level of energy, the level of grassroots enthusiasm, the level of hope, true hope, and as the next vice president said, joy, the kind of joy that is back in the political system because of the prospect of electing Kamala Harris to the presidency. It's just palpable out there. You can feel it. But the fact that you can feel it means that we have to foster it. It's very important that we are successful, because I can tell you, folks that get mobilized and then we lose, we may never get that spark back again with those folks. They may never, ever, ever, ever get back involved with another campaign. So what's important is that as we get folks mobilized, we have to win. So in November, when we win, folks feel like, well, because of what I did, which I never did before, that could include voting, that could include hitting the doors, that could include getting up off your wallet, that could include a whole lot of things. When people do things that they never did before and they win, they're more likely to do it again. And it pushes this country in the right direction. And so it's important for us to mobilize our folks. And I'm not worried about people that are sitting on this panel. And I'm not worried about the people even that are watching this on YouTube. It's our responsibility to go back to the folks that aren't on YouTube, the folks that are not on this panel. And we have to talk to them and impress on them the importance of getting mobilized. And you have to arm them with facts. Let them know that, for instance, Tim Walz, nobody knew who he was. I knew who he was. He was a client of mine 4 cycles ago when he was running for Congress. Met him in the Wellstone Institute in Minnesota. He is an amazing guy. You got to tell people, how many people around this country can you name that were both a football coach and an advisor to the Gay Straight Alliance? That just speaks to what an extraordinary man that was. To have the strength of character to say, not only am I the football coach, but yeah, I'm also going to advise the gay straight group. I mean, that's not something that I think has happened anywhere that I can think of. When we talk about making places a sanctuary for trans kids, Minnesota was the first state to step up and say, Texas, Utah, Wyoming, if you want to mistreat trans families and forbid all types of really necessary, life-saving, essential care, come on to Minnesota. We'll take care of you. Wes Moore, to his credit, is getting on that train, but Tim Walz was on that train first. He was first on the bus. So it's important to understand about Kamala that when she looked out for a partner around the whole nation, she picked a guy that had our back just like she does. And so that's important to recognize. And so our charge is to get out there and mobilize our communities. And look, not just in Maryland, I hate to tell you, and I'm not trying to take any organizing energy away from Maryland, but Pennsylvania is going to decide this election. And y'all folks can get on a bus and go to a ball, and you can get on a bus and go. You can get on the bus and go. You can get on a bus and go talk to your neighbors in Pennsylvania, because Maryland's going to be okay. Maryland's going to vote for Kamala Harris. Maryland's going to vote for Tim Walz. Maryland's going to vote for Angela Alsonbrooks. Not crazy about it, but whatever. Maryland is going to vote the right way. But Pennsylvania, right across the border, is where this election is going to be decided. So I would encourage you to encourage folks to organize their own communities. Of course, they have to vote, but then get on a bus and go to Pennsylvania. And I can get you there. I can get you a bus. I can get you a hotel. I can get you probably even paid. You got to get on a bus and you got to go to Pennsylvania, and you've got to talk to the folks there, because they're the folks that need to be mobilized, especially the folks in Philadelphia. So I'll stop there, and just to say, I'm so thrilled to be back with who I consider to be my family, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the discussion. Thank you.
Mark, I thank you immensely. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'm so glad you talked about Pennsylvania/Philadelphia, because I will be there tomorrow, because I'm going to celebrate a close family friend's 80th birthday. And with that being said, I'm giving the floor to actually speak. And so I am going to speak to that, because it is very important to change the mindsets of our Black older men to why Kamala Harris needs to be president. And so I will be there to have that conversation as a Black gay man talking to a room of straight Black men.
That's the same age, and you're the same age, right? There
you go.
No, yeah. No,
but no, it's a real conversation. It is a real conversation. Eric knows we were just at and planning this. We were just at Lock Bar having a conversation and somebody wanted to jump in our conversation, they didn't realize I'm a debater. So that's what we're not going to do. And you're not going to look like me and talk about a sister who could be my mother, my grandmother, anybody else, and put her down in front of a bunch of other people that don't look like us. That's what we're not doing. Right or wrong, Eric? So with that being said, I want to give everybody at least 2 minutes to tell the people out there in YouTube land, on Facebook, all the social media platforms, the reason why we need to mobilize and vote for Kamala Harris in all 50 of the United States. Let's start with Dunn.
Yes. Just for the health care of the LGBTQ people all over nationally, it's so important that we vote someone into the White House who is going to create and mandate laws that will protect the human rights for all the LGBTQ people in healthcare. Very important.
Ms. Fassett?
For the sake of education, our young people, youth development, mentoring programs, arts, culture.
Mr. Simmons?
For the future of our community and of our cities. Again, just to piggyback off of what Saran just said, for opportunities for pathways to adult success for our young people who are our future.
Bishop Harris?
I will say, I will chime in on what Deb Dunn said and Saran said, but I want to press both of those points. Because LGBT is not just about a sexual orientation. It is about the existence of humanity that exists in all of us. Whether you are apart, but you have a brother, you have a cousin, you have a gay uncle or a gay friend. And so we need to not just mobilize in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, we need to mobilize with some of our families, because some of us have family members that are religious people who try to pull the love the sin, hate the sinner conversation, but we need to really get with them and let them know, you can't tell me that you love me and then vote against me, right? So we need to vote, have that conversation with them, even if it comes to aggressive conversation, you still need to vote for someone that is going to stand to protect me, because I got a feeling that if the other person, then it's going to be really, really drastic. The other piece is academically. Our children are already behind. I saw two statistics. One said that they are 3 years behind. I've seen another that said 7 years behind. So if our children are that far behind, we need someone that is willing to do the work to help lift and move our children to a place of being academically prepared. That's why we should vote for Kamala Harris.
Trey Moore?
Yes, hopefully y'all can hear me well. I believe we should vote for Kamala Harris because we're at attack right now. And I think a lot of individuals like to kind of water that down, but we're literally attacked right now. We're attacked from all fronts, whether it's specifically targeted to LGBTQ rights, inclusivity in general, whether it's us as, minorities, as Black individuals, whether it's women rights, we're all attacked. And I think this is the perfect time for us to come together and really show how strong we actually are as a society.
Mark McLaurin?
So first of all, I want to take full responsibility for, as someone that's been doing politics for a long time, I tell people, my community, every 4 years, this is the most important election of your life. Well, I was lying every time up until now. I want to be really, 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 really crystal clear. This really is the most important election of your life. Lonnie, you got into it a little bit, but it wasn't the right name. So what you were referring to as Project 47 is actually called Project 2025. Okay. And Project 2025 is what people need to be educated on and understand, because aside from all the great things that Kamala Harris and Governor Walz want to do for us, Project 2025, look, there's a reason why it's so toxic that now even Trump is backing away from it, even though J.D. Vance wrote the foreword for the book that explained what Project 2025 is, that now has gotten curiously delayed in publishing. But understand that Project 2025 is the most radical deconstruction of government plan that we've ever seen. Grover Norquist told us 25 years ago that they plan to get government so small that they could drown it in a bathtub. Be clear that this is the step. This would be the next step for that. So funding for education, funding for healthcare, funding for everything that our communities hold dear would be decimated under a Project 2025, and be clear that that's what they're seeking to implement. So, you know, like, again, my apologies for being a drama queen and saying it was always the most important election. Your lives literally are on the ballot in 2024. And I say that without a hint of hyperbole. Thank you.
That's okay, Queens. Eric?
I just think it's important that we understand that we walk upon many backs, you know, Stonewall, you know, the backs of people who died of HIV fighting so that we could get something like Ryan White and be noticed. And I just think that, you know, like the Jewish people, you'll never forget Holocaust because they're not going to let you. And we should never forget the things that we went through as the LGBTQIA community, all the struggles. I don't want to go backwards. And I want somebody in office who sees me, not just as a vote, but as a Black gay man. And Trump cannot see me. And to be honest, he don't even like me. And so.
Don't like him. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Eric. With that being said, I want to thank all of you for being a part of this. I want to do a special shout out to Nate Vashti Blue Kauser, who has created this StreamYard for us. And as we conclude this conversation, it is crucial to deeply contemplate the profound and far-reaching influence that women, particularly women of color, have wielded in shaping and upholding our societies across time. From the ceaseless dedication of single mothers in providing for their families to the enduring sacrifices and challenges faced by generations of women and men, their tenacity and fortitude stand as the very foundation of our civilization. Let us diligently carry forth the rich legacy of these exceptional women and men, honoring their selflessness, sacrifices, and invaluable contributions to our shared journey through history. Let us not forget the pointed lyrics of this timeless gospel hymn, which is one of my favorite gospel songs. May the work I've done speak for me. May we all strive to pay homage to the memory and resilience of all our ancestors, spanning from our brothers and our sisters before us, who served as silent heroes and heroes, problem solvers and caregivers, often without seeking any acclaim. Let us wholeheartedly recognize and uplift them, acknowledging the multifaceted ways in which they have come into our aid time and time again. In solidarity, let us stand united with these remarkable men and women, offering our unwavering support and celebrating their remarkable strength and resilience. Kamala, she is my mother, she's my sister, she is my aunt, she is my grandmother, she is who our ancestors fought for. She reflects the unwavering spirit and fortitude that inspires all of us. She is our Madam President, and the time is now. Checks every box a white man has ever checked, and then some. The time is now. Thank you very much for participating in this discussion. Thank you very much. Please share, like, post, repost. Make sure you get it out to your friends, your family, your uncles, your great uncles who are struggling, because the time is now. Thank you very much. And as Max Waters would say, I'm going to let y'all reclaim your time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Everybody have a blessed day.
Thanks, you too.
Night.